road to the Olympic ring starts at a young age, where talents are discovered and skills are perfected over time. But for pint-sized cannon Morgan King, it not only came later in life, it came fast.
When I was a kid, I would go and visit my grandparents, and we would always watch the Olympics. And then you see these just people that have put their heart and soul into their sport and their discipline. I think I've always wanted that dream. Kind of getting teary-eyed even just thinking about it. Yeah, I think I've always wanted it.
Competitive weightlifter Morgan King proved how bad she wanted it at the 2013 National Championships, just 1 year after deciding to pursue weightlifting full-time.
It was like do or die. It was like you're either somebody or you're nobody. And I went out there and I made it. I mean, it was pretty surreal, and that kind of just catapulted me into weightlifting. And it was like, are you kidding? Like, how can I not do this?
That same year during her gold medal debut, Morgan met the man who would elevate her lifting to monumental proportions. Olympic gold medalist, Hall of Famer, and U.S. weightlifting coach, Zygmunt Smalzers.
I remember him actually when I was on the podium for nationals. He was giving the medals out, and he was like, "Where did you come from?"
I was very excited because with such good flexibility and very good speed, I thought we'd be very good in the United States.
Zygmunt was clearly onto something, because today, Morgan King is ranked top 48-kilo weightlifter in the United States.
So we do 2 lifts in competition. The snatch comes first, and that is with a wide grip, ground to overhead and catching it in the bottom of a squat. And then we have the clean and jerk as well, which is 2 lifts. You pull it off the ground, get it to your shoulders, front squat it up, and then you jerk it overhead.
Standing at 5 feet tall and just over 100 pounds, Morgan lifts more than twice her weight, a feat only a handful of women in competitive weightlifting have been able to accomplish.
My best snatch is 85 kilos, which is about 190 pounds, and my best clean and jerk is about 230. I get the question all the time, like, you're so small, like, how do you put up that much weight? And it really comes down to technique. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that goes into weightlifting that you don't normally see. I mean, it takes a toll on your body, and if you don't have the mind for it, it's going to be really tough.
Tough is right. So for a more personal look into Morgan's world, I'm joining her at the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs.
So this is where the elite athletes in the country come to train. And the first time you came in, we were like, oh my God, like, this is it. I never thought I would be in this position, and it's super exciting, but it is a lot of work. It's like a full-time job. So are we gonna get our hands dirty? You're gonna show me some things today, huh?
We're going to do the snatch, and the clean and jerk.
Clean and jerk.
Yeah, there you go.
But before putting up any weight, first comes a lesson in snatch basics.
Drive up, partially come straight in my body. Pinch.
Dean, this is my first time. It's like you're hitting the pros now, girlfriend. Good? It's okay.
With my form as good as it's gonna get, it's time to graduate from PVC to steel.
There you go.
Okay, maybe adding 33 pounds of weight is a bit premature. So back to PVC we go for my attempt at the clean.
Whoa. There you go. That's how most people sound when they catch clean, so that's totally fine. So everything is tight, and my glutes are working, and the hamstrings are firing. It's harder than it looks, peeps, okay? Sitting there on the couches enjoying this. Woo. And that's the jerk. That's when you do the yeah. It's more like this, like, thank you so much. Great, thanks. Well, I mean, girlfriend, you are kicking butt, so.
It's pretty awesome to watch the math throughout her work.
Well, you know, I try.
The 2016 Summer Games are upon us, and one of the most popular Olympic events to watch is gymnastics. And one of the most inspiring male gymnasts to ever compete in the sport is John Orozco. Some athletes are bred for the Olympics, and others are born for it. In the case of gymnast John Orozco, both may be true.
I got into gymnastics when I was about 8 or 9 years old. My dad got me into it. He was a former sanitation worker for New York City. He found a flyer, and it was for free tryouts for kids at around the same age as me.
Almost immediately after his first tumble at World Cup Gymnastics in Chappaqua, New York, Orozco showed so much potential that gym offers to train him free of charge.
I started training him when he was around age 10. Since the day John walked into the gym, we knew there was something special about him.
And for a kid from the Bronx living in modest conditions, that was a deal of a lifetime.
I'm really fortunate that my dad found that flyer that really changed my life and led me to this person.
Fly up to the handstand right here.
Today at age 24, John Orozco is a multiple world championship medal winner, national all-around champion, and 2012 Olympic.
To be an Olympic athlete, we're talking about a percentage of a percentage. And we could see even at a young age that John had that ability.
But John's ability didn't impress everyone at first.
Growing up in the Bronx as a gymnast was different because nobody understood really what gymnastics was. Everyone thought, oh, you twirl around a ribbon and you dance around in tights, and like, absolutely not. It's totally different.
This used to be when I was doing. Wait, there you go. I come here at school every day and run around, jump on the wall, do handstands, do whatever kind of gymnastics I was learning. You have the Puerto Rican flag representing Boricua.
The son of Puerto Rican parents, William and Damaris Orozco, John is fortunate to have had Sam hold beside him at every turn. Sadly, John lost a significant part of that support with the passing of his mother, Damaris, in February 2015. Later that same year, John suffered a possibly career-ending injury when he tore his Achilles tendon for the second time.
It was pretty devastating, and it seemed like every aspect of my life was just crumbling. To be an elite athlete at the highest level, to where you're going to the Olympic Games, it makes you think you can't give up now.
But despite his drive and resilience, John knows all too well that in the race for gold, nothing can be taken for granted.
At this point in my career, I've started to think about my performance more than my reward after. I think that's what ultimately led me to what happened in London. I went there and I was prepared, but I was thinking about the outcome more than the moment, and I was trying to be too perfect. Rio is everything to me. It's my second chance to get it right. But when I get there, it's going to be that moment. And I'm like,
The road has been long, difficult, and sometimes devastating, but Orozco is on a mission to make 2016 the year he gets it all back, no matter what the cost.
For any athlete, the chances of making it to one Olympic Games are pretty low. So for an athlete to compete in every game since the sport became an Olympic event is pretty remarkable. Gunning for gold in what will be his 5th Olympics to date, this is Taekwondo legend, Stephen Lopez.
Five-time world champion, 4-time Olympian, and 2-time Olympic gold medalist, Stephen Lopez is pound for pound the most decorated athlete in the sport of Taekwondo.
was pretty good at Taekwondo. I was pretty flexible. I could kick high, and if I didn't know how to do a certain kick, I would just practice it on my own until I kind of got it down. And at a very young age, I must have been 6 or 7 years old, is when I first started competing.
Along with his older brother Gene, Steven competed in local Taekwondo competitions in his home state of Texas, and quickly progressed to the national level.
I was very competitive by nature. I just remember thinking, I just want to beat all these little kids up. I'm thinking they're little kids, but they're my age. It was actually my dad who was looking and saying, man, I think my kids have a future in this.
Steven decided what that future would be while watching the opening ceremony of the 88 Games in Seoul, Korea, when it was announced that Taekwondo would debut as an Olympic event at the 2000 Games in Sydney.
As a kid, I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to be when I grow up, to become an Olympian and to become an Olympic champion.
And 12 years later, Steven's Olympic dream came true.
Taekwondo, a new sport in Sydney. Lopez in red against South Korea's Sin Jun-sik.
Making the U.S. Olympic team, I was 21 years old, and I'm traveling to Australia. I had never been to Australia before, and I just remember thinking, wow, I made it. Who knows if I'm ever going to have this opportunity again? Man, you better go out there and go for the gold.
Lopez would not fold. Lopez claims the gold.
I actually won. And to fight Korea in the finals, you know, Taekwondo being a Korean sport, it was icing on the cake for me.
Steven fought his way to the podium yet again at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, but this time he wasn't alone. Younger siblings Mark and Diana also competed in the games that year, once again under the leadership of eldest brother and now coach of the U.S. Olympic Taekwondo team, Gene.
When we all walked into the opening ceremonies, I looked to my left and I looked to my right. I see Mark and Steven and my sister Diana, and thinking to myself, wow, we're a long ways from training in the garage all the way to revolutionizing the sport.
My younger brother won silver, and my sister took the bronze. I took the bronze. Yeah, I won the gold, but I'd rather it be I win a bronze and get to experience this Olympics with my younger brother and sister than win the gold by myself.
Steven lost what could have been his third Olympic gold to a controversial point deduction in his semi-final match. And 4 years later at the 2012 Games in London, Lopez competed with a leg injury, which resulted in Steven walking away without a medal for the first time in his Olympic career.
In a 10-year span, I was undefeated. I've won 5 straight world championships. I've won 2 Olympic gold medals. So after that loss, I remember thinking to myself, well, how are you going to respond to it?
Now at age 37, Steven Lopez is fighting for retribution at the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, competing against elite athletes nearly half his age.
The talk is, he's old now. What are the chances of him winning?
Steven has not lost an ounce of speed, an ounce of power or strength or explosiveness. You know, he doesn't have the burden of really trying to prove to the world who he is.
Among the first family of Taekwondo, perhaps the greatest champions to emerge from the Lopez family are parents Julio and Andina, whom upon immigrating to the States from their native Nicaragua, exemplified that with hard work comes great success.
Pues obviamente siento muy agradecido por todo el éxito que han tenido.
Pero lo más importante para mí es que tengo buenos hombres para la sociedad. En eso estoy millonario.
We've been so proud to represent the United States of America, so we want to leave that legacy behind, that we're a family of immigrants and we've accomplished the American dream.
And we truly believe if one of us wins, we all win. It's not just them going to Rio, it's all of us on the mat.
I think it, I feel it, I breathe it in the depths of my soul that I will win the Olympic gold in Rio.
Since the first Olympics in 1898, fencing has been part of the games, The precision, grace, and passion can be seen in every move, and only the worthy will fight for gold in the Olympic arena. One of those Olympic athletes is world champion fencer Daryl Homer. Currently ranked number 2 in the U.S. and number 7 in the world, Daryl Homer stumbled upon fencing as a child in his hometown of Bronx, New York.
I pretty much got drawn into fencing just because of like the aesthetic of it. It looked really artsy, but it was also a really cool athletic sport at the same time. It's grown now to be just like the love and passion for the sport and outsmarting people and getting to use my body as a weapon.
By age 11, Daryl picked up his first saber, and just 1 month after his first lesson, began training with Hall of Famer and 4-time Olympic fencing coach Yuri Gelman.
Yuri is an amazing coach. 1, he's super understanding. 2, he has a really strong dedication to the tactics of the sport. And then on top of that, he's also just always trying to reinvent the wheel and find new ways to keep us competitive.
He always had physical talent. And somewhere around 15, 16 years old, he started practicing more, took it more serious.
By the time I made the senior team around 18 is when I really knew, like, okay, the Olympics is in the cards.
From the United States of America,
Just as Daryl predicted, by age 22, he was competing in the 2012 Olympic Games in London.
It was a great experience. I finished 6th, which was a solid result, but I think for the last games I was still pretty young. 25 to 28, 29 is when most people are at their peak.
Now at 26, Homer is looking to add his name to the greats at the 2016 Games in Rio.
Our goal is only gold medal. He's definitely capable to win, so there's no question.
And training just a few blocks from Daryl is another very capable fencer, primed to medal in Rio, Miles Chamley Watson. Originally from London, Miles moved to New York City with his family when he was 9 years old. Soon after, he began training at Fencers Club, and like Daryl, quickly proved he was a natural.
Came here, took a few lessons. 2-3 months later, entered competition. Went to the Olympics at 22. I won the championships at 23. I think I'm just getting started.
Although Miles didn't medal at the 2012 Games in London, he came back with a vengeance the following year at the World Championships.
The fact that I didn't do well in London with the Barcelona in disguise sucks to see that. I think I put way too much pressure on myself. And after the Olympics, got in better shape. And then I was the first American to win the World Championships the year after that. And I was like, okay, now it came on.
Not only did Miles win gold, he made history as the first ever American fencer to score an individual World Championship title.
So I have known Miles since we were 11 years old, so we pretty much started fencing the same year.
Daryl and I didn't get along at all in the beginning.
He was very obnoxious, which some people would argue has not changed.
I'm sure I come off cocky sometimes, but I think I'm just very confident. There's a fine line. But I think I'm like tiptoeing that line.
And one way to avoid tiptoeing that line between friend and foe is by choosing different weapons.
So foil, saber, and épée are the 3 weapons.
So mine, the best one, of course, is foil. The target area is the torso and the neck and the back.
Saber, the weapon I do is more like Zorro slashing, and the target is everywhere from the waist up, including the arms and the mask, and épée the entire body is the target. The saber is the fastest of the 3.
And while the weapons and strategies are different, when it comes to Rio, there's just one common goal.
For Rio, my mindset's kind of similar to what I've been doing the last 2-3 years, is kind of going into every competition the same. Hopefully taking some heads off.
Preparing for games is, and really being focused and attempting to win a medal is definitely a full-time job.
I as a coach, I must believe in my students. And I do believe they're gonna win. And they must believe they're gonna win.